Hi YouTube, just another update video on the cruiser. So I finally finished my decarb process. Late last night I finished putting the engine back together on the cruiser. This is just an update video, so I just wanted to point out a couple of things that I did wrong. At the beginning of the video I said I wasn't confident in doing it, which I wasn't. And obviously it took a bit of time. I wasn't experienced with a few things. I've worked on cars, but I've never worked on anything as complex as the LANDCRUISER twin turbo engine. In saying that, look, it was very, very difficult for me to take off some parts of the inlet manifold, simply because there was so much grease covering some of the bolts in the area. So I couldn't take it off properly, but I have put it all back together. I took it for a test drive last night. I checked for leaks within the fuel rails. No leaks at all. I hope so at this point in time, no leaks at all. One thing I did realize is that after putting it back together, starting it, so one of the key things that you guys should worry or think about is that when I started the car, when I put everything back together, I had to prime the pump again, and no matter how many times I primed it, it wouldn't start. So I thought I had stuffed up something big time. Maybe I forgot on a pipe or a bolt, because there are a lot of bolts that you got to take off, a lot of pipings and so on and so forth. So what I did was I marked everything and I put everything in bags after taking off each part or each stage. That's why I was calling it stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. I was marking and putting the screws and the bolts in the bag. So when I'm going backwards, putting it back together, I had to ensure that all those bolts that I'd taken off at that stage I've already completed and put back on as well. Now, this process, I'll give you a bit of background as well. I started doing this process, obviously, because I realized that my car had done, 170,000 Ks. I felt a little bit sluggish. This is my second cruiser. I've had a 76 before this, which felt a lot more powerful. Mind you, this is a 2008, my other one was 2013. What I felt like something was wrong, or it just didn't have enough power, especially at 3000 RPM. My 76 used to roar like a wild boar. So this thing, I just didn't have the same oomph. I've got the same setup in a straight through pipe, no exhaust, no cat, no muffler, just a straight through pipe. I take off during the day. I take off the headpiece as well off the snorkel, just for it to breathe better as well. And I realized that one of the main things that got me thinking was that fuel consumption. So on an 80-litre tank on my 76, because I do part city driving, so I work in the city, and part city driving and part motorway. So the car spends about, the 80 Ks that I do a day, about 40 Ks of it is on the motorway and 40 Ks of it is on the city driving. So I used to do 700 Ks to a tank before the fuel light would come on. Obviously with this thing, I was doing about 500 K at best, and being a ute, being lighter with the same engine, I thought it should do more Ks. So anyway, basically what I did was, the first thing I did was I used the Liquimolly engine decarb, diesel engine decarb. I got it from super cheap. I think it was 20 or 30 odd bucks or whatever it is. I think 30 odd bucks or something thereabouts. I put it into the engine, and if you can see from my previous videos, so if you look on, I've uploaded a few videos, that engine decarb from Liquimolly, for me, I think is a bust. I think it's an absolute bullshit, waste of time product, this is first-hand experience. So I used the Liquimolly thing. I did exactly what they asked me to do, put it through the intake, spray a burst of it every couple of seconds, putting a burst through it, through the intake. And what ended up happening is that I didn't feel any difference. I drove for 1,000 kilometers or maybe 1,300 kilometers after that, and I felt as though there was no difference in regaining any sort of power or whatever it is. Now, obviously, this is the first time that this engine was touched, so I knew from my previous cruiser that there might be carbon in the intake manifold. So I did the job. I took off the intake manifold, took off the intercooler, the intake manifold, and as you can see in my other videos, that it was quite badly clogged up. And in the intake manifold, there was a part which was quite wet, in the sense it was moist, whereas the rest of it was quite hard. I think that moist part was all the engine decarb that I'd used from Liquimolly. So guys, if you have got quite a young car, it's done 20, 30 or 1,000 Ks, maybe that would work. But if it's something serious, If you've done serious Ks, I think over 100,000 Ks, I think you really need to get the intake looked at. What I am going to consider is doing a HH2 or whatever it is, the gas type of cleaning, the new system that's coming out these days, whatever, HHO or something like that, nitrogen cleaning. I'm going to give it a go. Just to see what it is. So one of the things I've noticed since doing this is that the engine just idles a lot smoother. I mean, the thing is, I felt as though it was smooth before, but the engine just went quiet all of a sudden. I took it for a drive yesterday, just the idling. It's very, very quiet. Just in general, anything to do with when I'm revving through the ranges. Mind you, when I did give it up to 3,000 RPM, I don't drive the car past 3,000 RPM. If I'm ever to give it a bit, and it felt normal, didn't feel any different, but I only drove it for like 5-10 minutes up the road and came back. I'm going to take it for a long drive on the motorway later on today or whatever it is, and drive at 120 for like say 20-30 minutes, half an hour, just to give it a proper flush. If there's anything that's stuck in there or whatever it might be, it should come out. But yeah, so guys, Liquimolly engine decarb, absolute bullshit, waste of time. If you want to do this job yourself, like I said, I sit in the office all day, so I don't work on engines. You guys saw, I took my time with it, marked everything the way it should have, and I'm actually very, very pleased with the final result. So cleaned it all up, put it back together, and yeah, it just at this point in time, like I said, I haven't done any big drives for me to notice massive difference in power, but I just feel comfortable that I know that my engine is half clean anyway. I didn't go all the way to the block to clean the intakes, inside wherever the valve springs and all that kind of go. I didn't go that far. Like I said, I wasn't confident enough, but at least I did that part. Now this job, there were 2 bolts that I couldn't open, and that's what sort of got me going for the longest period of time. But I would recommend, if you were to do this as a DIY, give yourself a full day, maybe about 8 hours, for you to take everything off, to clean it. So taking off should take around about 3-4 hours. Cleaning it in petrol, once you doused it in petrol, I used high pressure hose with a gurney, and I sprayed everything out. Then I soaked it in petrol again, to ensure that there's no water left over. Then I used the air hose to blow out all the fuel, and then went and doused it again a third time with mineral terps, and basically took off anything that was left after that as well. Then I let it just dry out with air. Then I let it sit there for a couple of hours while I was putting everything back together slowly, and then the manifold and the intercooler. Make sure when you guys are putting it back together, intercooler pipes are tight. Even though it comes with gaskets already, the factory gaskets, I still used a aftermarket gasket on top of that, like just in a tube, to ensure that if there are any leaks or any deformity that have happened within the gasket in the meantime, that it's all covered up as well. Make sure that you don't start the car until every single plug and wire is connected, because obviously it's going to throw up your engine light is going to come on, and then the car will run in safe mode as well. Mind you, after doing all of this, it took me about 15 minutes to get the car started. I was absolutely devastated. Thought that I had done something wrong. Kept trying to prime the pump, and I was like, okay, so something's going on. Engine light's not coming on. Finally, when I gave up and I was sitting in the car, and I was like, I can't believe that I've done such a disastrous work. I turned the key and bang, it turned on. And then yeah, so that's where we're at right now, guys. Liquimolly engine decarb, no go. But on your own, this is something that anybody that drives a cruiser, and that's done over 100,000 Ks, I think it's a good idea to either do it yourself or get somebody else to do it. Tools wise, you don't need a lot of tools. This is my set of tools that I've used. So I've got Sid Chrome tool set, not crazy one, but just the standard Sid Chrome tool set that I think most people will be able to get. I've got 2 sets of those, a small one and a big one as well. I've got I like the 6-ended spanners, so it's got 6 edges basically, opposed to the normal ones. This is so you can't cross thread the bolts when you're taking it, because some of these engine bolts are quite tight. And this is my tool set. This is all I use, guys, and out of those you'll use size 10 and size 12 most of the times. To take up the full fuel rails, you'll need a size 17 spanner as well. This basically works okay as well. Obviously this is some bullshit that I bought from Aldi. I have to buy myself a proper Milwaukee a wrench, electric wrench. I think that's important. It will make my life a lot easier as well. But overall, guys, I'm very, very happy with the result. And yeah, please put some comments down, things that I could have done better, or whatever it is. Or if you think this is a complete joke, put it down. for a laugh anyway. But here it is, guys. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.